Sunkaloku here, guys. Happy New Year. So 2017 is here and we've had a devastating 2016, so let's just get on with this. So it's been a while. I'm not very committed to making this sort of thing. I do admit I do have other commitments in life, and it's just the way it is. So I'm here again, and I've been thinking about making a video for a while. The last video I did was the top 10 films I hated but everyone else loved. I'm sure I would have put a lot of other films on there that I've forgotten about, but that's not the important thing. So I'm going to try and start making more videos, and I've got a little person here to say hello. Say hello. So yeah, he's okay. He's had a bit of a sleep in because he's not had a chance to go for a walk. It's raining like mad outside here in the UK. What can you do? Literally the first day of New Year's was just terrible, just awful weather, and it affected the day a bit, but here we go. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about remakes of movies. Mainly movies. Maybe I'll mention a game here or there. The one game I'll talk about is probably Devil May Cry, but so these days when we get movies, we have a lot of remakes, sequels, or rehashes of the same film that we've done, so many times. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we've had Star Wars, we've got The Force Awakens, and basically, although I really love the film, it is basically a rehash of A New Hope. Okay, I agree and I also disagree, because it's not just a rehash of A New Hope, it's a rehash of the other films that have been done already. So the prequels, Empire Strikes Back, the whole thing with Kylo Ren, if you haven't seen it yet, it has a very good balance nonetheless. If you didn't have those films, this film would easily be great. I love Rogue One, it's my second favourite Star Wars film, first always being Empire. But what's the whole point of remakes? Well, essentially, obviously, is to make money. Lots and lots of money. But at the same time, is there any point in them exactly? My answer is, it depends. If you're doing it just to get cash, or you're trying to further the product, like for example, you've got a new film with The Rock and Kevin Hart, Jumanji, and I love the first Jumanji film, it's one of my favourite childhood films, but there's essentially no point in actually having a film like that, because it's been done before, and The Rock openly admitted that he's doing this to honour Robin Williams, but the other thing to do to honour him is to not make the film. Do you agree? Hey, Vinny, do you agree? Hey? But the reason why I am actually very excited to see this remake, the reason why is because you have The Rock, you have Kevin Hart, you have Jack Black, one of the Jonas Brothers, and Karen Gilligan, like, in this one film. It feels like a clusterfuck of... Would you cast these guys in a remake of Jumanji? Well, no, because Jumanji wasn't really a comedy or a thriller. It was basically an innocent adventure film, much more innocent than Star Wars or E.T. Well, it's more like E.T. essentially. I mean, it's a good idea, and I love the ideas behind it. The whole idea of you going inside a board game and finding all these animals and finding all these tricks. Are you getting bored? I'm getting bored. And another thing with remakes is typecasting. The only reason why you'd want to remake a film is to kind of introduce new material to a new audience from original material. And the reason why they do this is because they're running out of ideas. Let's admit it. Another example I'll give is The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. Good film, very good film. I actually really do like that film. But at the same time, it has problems. The main problem is the title. It's called Karate Kid, but the problem is it's kung fu he's learning, not karate. And it's very misleading. And it's because of the title, it's because of the money and the popularity of that film that has actually brought it together. And to be honest, as good as it was and as cool as Jackie Chan is as the new Mr. Miyagi, Mr. Han, it's still from the same film. And people would make the argument whether it's better or it's worse. I think a lot of people will say it's worse. But I really enjoy The Karate Kid. I think the fight scenes, this kid has a little bit more reasons to be threatened. Whereas when Daniel LaRusso in high school is being bullied, it's all about him trying to be a man and trying to stand up for himself. Whereas in China, you've got tons of people who know Kung Fu. Kung Fu lives in China. Everybody knows what Kung Fu is or knows Kung Fu. Not everyone knows Kung Fu. Someone did say that to me once. I know Kung Fu. So another thing that I would like to talk about is a few video games and comics. So in DC Comics, they have rebooted DC so many times. The Justice League, Teen Titans, you name it. Superman has had so much versions of himself, which is why Goku struggles to actually beat him, is because there's so many versions of him, and it's a bit ridiculous if you ask me. And there are so many fans out there who support Goku who will actually say, this is wrong. Goku, in fact, would beat him in a fight, but it depends on which Superman he's fighting. Whereas, not Watch Mojo, what's the channel called? Screw Attack. They love to combine Superman together, all of them, every single one of them, all the versions, so that Goku wouldn't stand a chance, even at his god form. I'm sensing you want to get off. You can stay here a bit longer. So yeah, I mean, with the new 52 issue, I mean, they're basically trying to make DC more gritty and a bit more like Marvel, where you don't exactly know what the tone is because, I mean, you do know what the tone is, but it's because you're going along with the emotions of the characters, whereas in DC, you're trying to get the emotions of the moments, but you're not analysing the characters. I mean, you are. I mean, the DC Comics have done so well in terms of the comic genre, and they've done well in the animated series as well. Now, making product off of a comic and bringing it to life is slightly different than remaking something. When you're bringing something to life, you're trying to bring the magic going. And that's all good. I mean, that has been going on for a very long time, and doing other versions of other films, having the same story but different characters and a completely different take, that doesn't count because that has been going on since the film genre has become very, very popularized. And Star Wars has been taking other sources from other movies, you know, from swordplay to, like, Flash Gordon, etc., comic books in general, space films, like really bad space films like Plan 9 from Outer Space or 2001 A Space Odyssey, which came out way before Star Wars. And that was the point where effects was trying to increase the ideas along the way, and the success of them became so well known within Star Wars. Another thing I'll talk about is remakes today and how it's done. Now, video games, I don't see a lot of video games do this very often, but the only video game I can talk about is Devil May Cry. Sometimes people do this to kind of sell a product and do other things, but the thing is, Cashcom, or Capcom, as it's properly known in their rightful mind, they have so much things going on, and I assume that's the reason why they sold the rights of Devil May Cry to Ninja Theory, and that's not a good thing. Really, that's not a good thing. And you're taking a franchise and you're playing around with it, but you're doing it for worse. See, this is why I say remakes, whether you like them or not, it depends on how they're approaching the story. And I would agree the fact that sometimes remakes do very well, like the Batman films have been really good, and I will get to that in a second. But when you're trying to remake something to try and make money, and that's all you're doing, and to try and further the product for the sake of it, it's not going to work. And nobody is going to see a sequel to the Devil May Cry 5 game, or just the remake, as I called it. And as far as I'm concerned, the Dante I saw there is not the Dante I remember playing, okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about are films that probably should be laid to rest. Now, when it comes to comic book films, Spider-Man's had 5 films so far, or 6 if you're including Civil War. And as much as I would probably want to say they should stop making a Spider-Man film, I'm very happy to actually see Tom Holland